I'm Melissa and welcome to Oh My Word, Melly. So this is my first video for 2024. I hope the first week of 2024 was good for every one of y'all, and I'm wishing and hoping that 2024, the year itself, will be a very good year for everyone and as well as me. So if y'all have been following me over the last year as well, y'all would know that I did this Uppercase YA Reading challenge. If y'all don't know what I'm talking about, click up here so that y'all can see what that challenge was. And somewhere around November last year, I managed to complete it, and I really wanted to do it again this year as well. And this year the challenge is more challenging and really interesting, so I can't wait to introduce you all to this challenge and to show you all which books that I picked for each part of this challenge. And hopefully this year also I will be able to read all the books that I picked for the challenge as well as complete it on time. So without further ado, let's check out what this challenge is. Let me talk to you all about this challenge and also show you all the books. So how the Uppercase YA challenge works is, the challenge itself is broken down into 4 parts, and each part has like 4 prompts where you select books you want to read against each prompt. Last year I selected like 1 book per prompt. This year around I am going to pick 2 books per prompt, and hopefully at least I will read 1 out of those books and then complete the challenge. I don't know, I'm just trying to challenge myself and read a little bit out of box. So how this year's challenge has been broken is, so the first part of the challenge, or the first challenge, is TBR, basically things based on your to be read pile. And then the second is categorized to diversity, third is genres, and fourth is grab bag, which is like a miscellaneous prompt. So the first prompt in TBR is on TBR for more than 2 years. So basically books that I have had on my TBR for more than 2 years. And I picked these 2 books. So first I want to read On the Come Up by Angie Thomas. I have had this book since 2021, so not more than 2 years, but I want to read this, and then I have completed like the Angie Thomas trio of books when I hopefully read this. And the other book I selected, I am really pushing myself to meet one of my resolutions, and that's to read fantasy. So with that, my next book, which has been on my TBR since 2020 almost, is The Cruel Prince by Holly Black, which is a trilogy, but at least if I read this book, it's some progress. The next prompt of this challenge is published in 2023. My God, I have already started reading a book published in 2023, but specifically for this prompt of the challenge, I have selected Swordcatcher by Cassandra Clare. I really want to read this. I have no idea what this is about, other than it being an adult fantasy, almost romantasy kind of book, and not set in the Shadowhunter universe is what I know. So I want to read this, and I'm so excited that I own the book. I also selected My Phony Valentine by Courtney Walsh, and I want to read My Phony Valentine, of course, for Valentine's in the month of February. Has less than 1,000 ratings on GoodReads. So for that, my first book is False Promises by Emmanuel Snow, which is like the Carter Hill's first story. It's a book published last year, which I missed. I have no idea how I missed Emmanuel Snow book, but I really have to read it, and I absolutely love any book by Emmanuel Snow. So obviously that has to be on my challenge list, because I am definitely going to read it and not miss it this time around. And the second book I picked, it's not released yet. I think it's being released in the month of January, in a few weeks, and that is The Breakup Tour by Emily Wilberly and Austin Sigmund Broca, if I'm pronouncing it correctly. This has such Taylor Swift vibes, and I can't say I'm like a Taylor Swift fan, but I do love her songs. I'm not in fan bases. Anyway, when I saw this book, I really wanted to read it, and I'm so excited. So I added it as a part of this challenge. Last prompt of the first challenge, a sequel. So for this, I first and foremost selected What a Girl Wants by Lindsay Kelk, which is the second book of a girl series by her. Last year I read About a Girl. I enjoyed it, so I want to continue the series. And then another sequel that I really want to read somehow this year is Kiss Me, Mi Amor, which is the second book of the Love and Tacos series by Alana Albertson. So if y'all are wondering why I'm not going into detail of each book, well guys, I don't read synopsis that often, and I don't know anything about these books until I read it. So with that, let's go into the second part of the challenge, and that is diversity. Guys, I love this part of the challenge. So this year also no different, starting off with queer romance. So for this, there are so many sapphic books, so many LGBTQ represented books. I just wanted to read something that was not overly hyped and something that I hope that I will enjoy. So for this, I selected two books, and one is Delilah Green Doesn't Care by Ashley Herring Blake. And this also seems to be a trilogy, I guess, if I remember correctly. But this is book one of it, which I want to read again. I think this has a sapphic romance representation, or a female romance representation. And the second book is Imogen, obviously, by Becky Albertalli. So I think this is a sapphic romance book, but I also have a few romance books down my alley planned for this year, but these are the two books that I want to read for this challenge. Disability rep. So I love that everything is not bells and rainbows and sunshines and all that. I love that everyone is represented. I love that depth that it brings to stories. So this is one of my favorite prompts. So for the disability rep, I first picked Archer's Voice by Mia Sheridan. This too is a series, but this is book one. And the disability here is PTSD, and the hero can't communicate vocally is what I got when I was searching for books with disability rep. I have seen people reading this and loving this book over the last few years. I have seen this flash across TikTok, YouTube, and even Instagram, and I am finally going to read it. And then I also selected Get a Life, Chloe Brown by Talia Hibbert. And here the female main character has a chronic illness called fibromyalgia. I have no idea what that is, but again, a disability representation. So these are the two books that I want to read for the disability rep challenge. Third prompt of this challenge is Neurodivergent main characters. So the first book I selected, and this is a book that I really want to read somehow this year, and that is The Kiss Quotient by Helen Huang. And here the representation is autism spectrum, or someone on the autism spectrum. And the second also is a book that I want to read definitely this year, and I had planned to read, and I was just excited to find out that that book also has a neurodivergent representation, and that is Better Hate Than Never, the second book of the Wilmot Sisters series by Chloe Lees. I also got to know that the author Chloe Lees itself is a neurodivergent person, so she writes with experience, and that's just absolutely perfect. The last prompt of the second challenge is POC author, or people of color author. So guys, y'all know I like BIPOC representation, that is Black, Indigenous, people of color representation as well. Y'all can click up here to watch a BIPOC romance recommendation I did last year. And for this, I selected a fantasy as well as a rom-com or a contemporary book. So first is Sleep Like Death by Kaylin Barron, which is a Snow White retelling. Y'all must be knowing this author as the author of Cinderella is Dead, and then I read The Poison Heart last year. I really liked her style of writing, and I think this book was a very recent release and I want to read it as soon as I can. And then the second book I selected is Honey Girl by Morgan Rogers. Guys, this book has been on my TBR for a while as well, and I have heard great things, so I want to read this too. So those are the two POC author books that I selected for this prompt. So the third challenge is genres, and now this is a challenge that put me out of my reading comfort zone or my reading bubble last year, which I absolutely loved. It made me know that I love mystery, murder mystery kind of books. And this year it's really putting me into places that I normally don't read. The first prompt is romantasy. So I know I read a lot of fantasy laced with romance kind of books, and that's the only way I think I could stick to fantasy, because reading fantasy books without an ounce of romance could put me into a reading slump, as we know evidently from last year. When it comes to romantasy, since of late, two books have been ruling this space. And if I don't select those two books, and if I don't finally get on the bandwagon of reading those two books, my friends are going to come hunt me down. So the first book is A Coat of Thorns and Roses by Sarah J. Maas, or Akota. Guys, I know I have not read Akota, but I'm trying, you see, like I'm taking the initiative to read the first book. We'll see. The first book is all I'm committing for in this challenge, for or any prompt where I'm selecting books from series. It's the book that I picked that counts. And the second book, again, this should not be a surprise to everyone, is Fourth Wing by Rebecca Yarros. Haven't read it, guys, and I have heard mixed reviews. Some of my friends absolutely hate it and says it's not actual fantasy, and some absolutely love it because they are into romantasy. So it's for me to read and find out on whose side I stand, or if I am Switzerland in this. Now, this second one is Dark Academia. And I don't think it's something I have read. From what I understood of Dark Academia, it's like secret societies, magic, and like schools for certain things and something around that. I am just lost, guys. I don't know these genres like that. And the first book is Book of the Night by Holly Black. I like Holly Black. She writes books with Cassandra Clare as well. And I really want to read her book this year. And I know I already selected The Cruel Prince also by her this year. And let's see, I don't know how this will go. The other book I selected is A Discovery of Witches by Deborah Harkins. And I think this will be like a Halloween read for me. I'm not sure. But let's see. I also want to read The Atlas 6. But it has mixed reviews and a lower rating on GoodReads, so I'm still not settled with that, so I'm not adding it to the challenge. But I heard that Atlas 6 is also a part of Dark Academia, so we'll see. Next is Magical Realism. So it's apparently something like it's based in the current year or current time, but there are glimpses to like some magical, I don't know, reality, or like go back in the time, like past, something like that, something where you have a different timeline, basically, is what I understood what magical realism is. And for that I saw this book which I have no idea of, and that is Spells for Forgetting by Adrienne Young, which I want to read. Looked very interesting. I read the synopsis just a tinsy bit, and I think I want to read that as well. So we'll see. That is under magical realism. And another is You've Reached Sam by Dustin Thau. This is a YA book that I want to read, but I'm scared that it will break my heart. It's a sad book based on what I have read and like read on post and what my friends have read it have said. Now this next prompt of this genre challenge is really taking a toll on me and really going to test me, and that is graphic novel. Guys, I don't read graphic novels. But because of this challenge and because it's really famous, I selected Heartstoppers by Alice Osman. I think there are 6 installments, but I just want to read the first installment of book 1 and see how it goes. So it's going to be only Heartstoppers for this, and I hope I do enjoy reading graphic novels. We are already at the last section of this Uppercase YA Reading Challenge. This is grab bag. So it's like a miscellaneous kind of thing where it's a mix of this and that. So let's see what the first prompt is. A librarian or a bookstore recommended. Guys, I don't have a librarian because I don't go to the library. I just can't think of borrowing books, and I did not know if bookstores in Sri Lanka do recommendations. So what I did was I took a recommendation from GoodReads. Who better than that, right? And also Uppercase YA, the host of this challenge itself, which is an Instagram page that does book recommendations for a living. I selected one book recommended by GoodReads and one book recommended by Uppercase YA. So GoodReads has this section called recommended, and based on the genres you mostly read, they do recommend you books. If y'all don't know how that is done, I'll just leave something here for y'all to see. And from that, I obviously selected romance. One of the books out of the suggestions that I picked was When in Rome by Sarah Adams, because I really want to read a book by Sarah Adams and I still haven't. So what better than picking that now? I also checked the mystery section because I want to see if I can read mystery this year, and then they gave me like Frida McFarlane's books like this one. It took some time to find the book because I was just lazy to check on Goodreads. They recommended this book to me. Maybe I'll read this. I want to get into more mystery as well. So we'll see. Again, not a part of the challenge. I just thought of showing you. And then from Uppercase YA, they had this post where like best books of 2023 kind of, and from that I selected You with a View by Jessica Joyce. This is something that has got on my radar for a while because one, the book itself looked really nice and it was like highly recommended for romance lovers, so I really want to read it. And when it became like one of the top books of the year on Uppercase YA, why wouldn't I read it now? So next prompt of this challenge is multiple POV. So guys, here I was a bit confused. When they say multiple POV, does it include dual POV or is it like more than 2 POVs? So I assume that this is like more than 2 POVs that fall under multiple POV, and I selected A Curse for True Love by Stephanie Garber. That guys has 3 POVs and I'm currently reading it. That's my first book for the year. And I actually finished it before filming this video. So yay me, I just finished it, and let's wait for my wrap up to find out my thoughts on that book. And the second book, this is a book that has been on my TBR for quite some time because I have seen like some of my favorite YouTubers recommending this, but this was like years ago, before even I got on YouTube, and I have not seen my friends reading it. But it has like multiple POVs is what I found out on Google and stuff, but until I read it, I'm not sure actually. And that is the first book of the Raven cycle, that is The Raven Boys by Maggie Steve Fater. I don't know how you pronounce his surname, but I want to read it and see if it's multiple POV is good for me. If it's not, let's see if I'll have to find another book. This I absolutely love, and that is The Title Matches the Song Lyrics. And I couldn't think of anything better than finding books that match Taylor Swift songs, because that was the easiest as well. And the first is Enchanted to Meet You by Meg Cabot. This is something I want to read for Halloween this year somehow. It was a book that I planned to read last year, but I couldn't, and it's a book that I recommended for Halloween, which she reads as well. And after a long time to get a Meg Cabot book, I'm just excited. And this is based on Enchanted, Taylor Swift's song. And I also picked Sophie Gonzalez, Never Ever Getting Back Together. Also, this was nominated for a GoodReads Choice Award. It's also after a Taylor Swift song, so and the title matches the song, so I picked this as well for this prompt of the challenge. The last prompt of the last challenge is nominated for an award. I don't know much about book awards, so I just googled it, and the first book that I got is something that I really want to read as well, and that is Lessons in Chemistry by Bonnie Garmus. And when I searched more about this book actually was the winner of the ABIA International Book of the Year 2023. And I have seen a lot of people reading it. And also, I thought for my second choice, why not go with the GoodReads Choice Awards? Like, that's also an award, right? Like, I count it as an award, or at least nominated for an award. And for that, I selected Happy Place by Emily Henry. I again have not read any book by Emily Henry. I know people go crazy for her books. I saw people buying like the entire stack of books as well during the book fair. Or like when I go to a book shop at least, or a bookstore, I just see people going crazy over her books. And here I am, who have not read anything. And so I selected the winner of the romance category for the GoodReads Choice Awards in 2023 to read for this challenge this year. So with that, it's a wrap to this Uppercase YA Reading Challenge, and those are all the books I selected for each prompt. Let me know if y'all have read any of these books, or if these books are in your TBRs as well. And if y'all have read it, let me know in the comments down below if y'all think I would enjoy it as well. If y'all did enjoy this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, as well as share this with friends and family. And also, if y'all want to keep seeing more of me and my videos, and to stay up to date with my reading and my thoughts on the books that I read, don't forget to subscribe to this channel, as well as click on the little bell icon so that you all get notified of every video that I post. With that, it's time for me to wrap up today's video, and with the promises of more fun and bookish videos in the weeks to come as well, here is me saying bye from Oh My World.